In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces detained 15 citizens during illegal raids launched by Tel Aviv in the occupied West Bank. Chile's government declared a curfew in 3 communities of Arauco in the south of the country after the murder of 3 Carabineros police officers. And Australian citizens marched through the country's cities in rejection of violence against women. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces detained 15 citizens during illegal raids launched by Tel Aviv in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian Prisoners Organization reported multiple arrests, mainly in the governorates of Tulkarm, Jenin, Jericho and Jerusalem. Sources reported that Israeli forces entered the Palestinian territories with over 20 military vehicles, proceeded with raids without proper documentation, and interrogated residents. The organizations denounced that Israel is conducting incursions operations in the West Bank, during which it harasses citizens, threatens them and their families with arrests, destroys their homes and beats them. The Israeli military's repeated unlawful attacks on medical facilities, personnel and transport are further destroying the Gaza Strip healthcare system. Our correspondent Huda Hegazi brings more details. Let's see.
Me encuentro justamente en el hospital.
I'm in the Nasser hospital, in the government of Khan Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip, and I'm in the intensive care unit, where, as you can see behind me, the administration of this hospital, as well as the medical services, are trying to put back into operation the buildings and sections that remain safe in this hospital. We are talking about the destruction caused by the Israeli army in those months of incursion and military operation inside this hospital complex. It has caused the destruction and the isolation of most of the sections of this hospital complex. And at this moment, they are trying to clean, eliminate the debris and collect everything to try to put back into operation this hospital, which was one of the largest hospitals in Khan Yunis and the second largest hospital in the entire Gaza Strip. And as we can see, they are trying to clean this section and prepare the beds to enter the equipment that remains active until this moment in order, as I said previously, to try to put this hospital into operation. We are talking about that only 5 hospitals out of Gaza's 35 medical centers are operational. So, to put back into operation this hospital would reduce the number of patients and the pressure from the other hospitals that remain active, like the European hospital in Khan Yunis, to be able to distribute the injured and patients between these hospitals. According to the administration of this hospital, they are working on the recovery of the hospital so it can be active again in approximately 10 days or 2 weeks, for it to be able to receive patients and injured citizens. It is not an easy task at all, since Israel has caused massive destruction. It has even stolen devices, beds, and other supplies to prevent this hospital from working again. Nevertheless, the resistance of GANZANS and their will is much greater, and they have assured that, despite being a difficult journey, they will try with all possible means to put this hospital back on its feet so that it can continue to provide the necessary service to the people of the Gaza Strip.
The Freedom Fleet carrying tons of aid to Gaza is denouncing sabotaging maneuvers from the Israeli government and urges support from all citizens of the world. On the same day that Gazan authorities have confirmed that Israel has killed 34,454 people, the fleet carrying 5,500 tons of aid to the Gaza Strip has had to postpone its mission. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has pressured the government of Guinea-Bissau to withdraw its flag from the Anadolu freighter and from the Denis ship. Without flags, navigation is not allowed. Fleet organizers stranded in Turkey are asking the world to share word about what's happened, so people may urge their governments for flagging those ships and so as to carry on cooperation and solidarity. Arab League member countries are urging the international community to put pressure on the United Nations Security Council to stop Israel's aggression against the Gaza Strip. The Arab League demands that Israel comply with the ruling of the International Court of Justice and stops genocide in Gaza. The Arab Parliament stressed that the need to increase the delivery of food, medicine and fuel by land, sea and air to assist the victims of the humanitarian crisis resulting from the Tel Aviv onslaught started on October 7th. Saudi Arabia is hosting a two-day special meeting of the World Economic Forum on the situation in Gaza and tensions in the Middle East. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is taking part in this meeting at the invitation of Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Abbas is expected to meet with heads of state, leaders and policymakers attending the event. The list of participants includes U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and diplomats involved in the truce negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas. World Economic Forum President Jorge Brent described the meeting as an opportunity to hold talks with key players aimed at ending the Israeli genocide in Gaza. Hundreds of students, pro-Palestinian protesters and other activists made a common front at the University of Southern California in the U.S. and the University of California, both located in Los Angeles. Our contributor Luis Gutierrez reports more.
They have been protesting against Israel's genocide of the Gaza population for 4 days, responding to the call initiated by Columbia University in New York City. They urge their universities to join the boycott and divestment movement.
Divest from Israel, from the Israeli apartheid regime committing this genocide, and divest from the military-industrial complex, from war profiteers that are providing the weapons needed to continue this genocide.
In California, demonstrations against U.S. policy in Gaza escalated on Wednesday when police made mass arrests, detained over 90 activists, and fired rubber bullets, injuring 2 of them.
Everything was peaceful until they arrived and they escalated. There's children, there's dogs, there's family, there's education, there's yoga. We were learning and we were building community space, and it was not until the university called DPS to respond to us that things escalated solely because of violence on their end. And this violence just goes to show this institution is just an academic arm of the militarized police state that is the U.S.
Right, the U.S. government gives billions of dollars to Israel in both like literal money as well as arms transfers, weapons transfers, and other kinds of security aid. And the university has billions of dollars in its endowment that are invested in corporations that sell weapons to Israel, that produce those weapons, design those weapons, maintain the technology of the occupation.
Recently, the U.S. Congress approved an economic support package of $26 billion for Israel. These camps are a part of a growing movement against the complicity of many institutions in the war against Gaza.
Our stance is that there will be no business as usual until the university discloses all of its investments and divests entirely from industries that benefit from the genocide.
Protests in the United States have not stopped since October 7 last year. What civil society demands is an immediate ceasefire and an end to the occupation of Palestinian territory. For TeleSUR, Luis Gutierrez from Los Angeles, California.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Chile's government declared a curfew in 3 communities of Arauco in the south of the country after the murder of 3 Carabineros police officers. The Undersecretary of Interior, Manuel Monsalve, explained that the measure already in course starts at midnight and will last until 7 a.m. in the morning local time and applies to the districts of Canete, Contulmo and Tirua in the Bio region. This decision, which has among other goals the intensification of patrolling, was taken after the murder of 3 Carabineros of public order control in Canete in the middle of an alleged ambush. The events took place in the early hours of this Saturday morning and have caused great commotion given the violence used by the murderers.
This curfew goes from midnight to 7 a.m. The purpose of implementing the curfew obeys basically to 2 tasks that seem essential to US. One of the main objectives is to enable the investigation being carried out, which is crucial to be able to identify those responsible, arrest them and punish them.
Argentina's former president Christina Fernandez denounced the government of Javier Milei for the application of neoliberal measures against the people. In her first public event since the new administration took office, Fernandez criticized the current administration, stating that Argentines are being subjected to a useless sacrifice while the government tries to pursue a zero fiscal deficit. The also former vice president questioned some of the economic achievements recently exhibited by Javier Milei's government, denouncing the tax benefits that certain companies receive. She also expressed that Milei's actions, rather than anarcho-capitalism, seem to be anarcho-colonialism.
¿Qué es entonces el anarcocapitalismo? Y ahora acá.
What is anarcho-capitalism then? And now here, I think there is a clue in the president's speech in the national chain on Monday. He said on Monday that recovery and growth will come from 4 sectors: oil, gas, mining and the countryside, that is, agriculture, a sector that has a growth, as I have just pointed out, in a dead cow, but, as it is developed in our country, he foreshadows an economy of an extractivist nature, meaning to take all the natural resources, without added value, without technology, without industrialization. That is, pre-capitalist, because it reminds me of Viceroyalty Argentina of Rio de la Plata, where all the riches were taken and nothing was left. So more than anarcho-capitalism, it sounds to me like anarcho-colonialism.
Christina Fernandez rejected comments by President Javier Milei about indoctrination in public schools.
El presidente habla de adoctrinamiento en los colegios. Si hubiéramos adoctrinado en los
The president talks about indoctrinations in the schools. If we had indoctrinated at schools, he would not be president, period. So what is this man saying? What is he talking about? In fact, I dare to say that if we had a public primary and secondary education like the one I had, I remember the names of the 6 or 7 teachers I had on first grade, on upper first, on second, all of them. I had 1 teacher per year, just 1. And I had classes every day, which is not enough, but boy, that helps. That helps a lot. I think that we have to start discussing these issues. I was listening the other day, I think it was the governor of Santa Fe who said that when he took office, he had a problem. He had allocated 23 to 25% of the resources to teachers' salaries, but they were using substitute teachers because teachers were out on medical leaves or what have you. We need a serious discussion on this because resources are scarce and we have to make good use of it.
The International Civil Aviation Organization accepted the complaint filed by Venezuela against Argentina after verifying its violations of the Chicago Convention regarding the hijacking and subsequent destruction of the TeleSUR plane. The organization notified the members of the Council of the receipt of the complaint after verifying its compliance with Article 2 of the Chicago Convention. The claim made by Venezuela Venezuela alleged that since June 8, 2022, the Republic of Argentina has committed violations of several articles through the application of unilateral restrictive measures that are unlawful and discriminatory against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Venezuela also alleged that such violations occurred in the context of the inconvenience suffered by the non-scheduled flights belonging to the Conviasa consortium and leased by it to the transport company TeleSUR. In an exclusive interview for a multi-platform from the South, the Venezuelan Minister of Transportation, Ramon Velázquez, referred to the complaint filed by Venezuela before the International Civil Aviation Organization against Argentina for the hijacking of the TeleSUR plane owned by Venezuela.
Notorio y público.
It is notorious and public that there has been a violation of all international regulations and bilateral agreements signed by Argentina and Venezuela as signatory members of the ICAO. We are members of the 193 countries belonging to the ICAO since 1944, and now, it is of great importance what Venezuela is promoting through this demand, which has reached the ICAO consensus, as a mechanism to evaluate all the conditions generated, all the transgressions that have been generated, mainly to reach an international consensus that these conducts cannot be repeated, since they violate international law and even violate the sovereignty of states.
We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Australian citizens marched through the country's cities in rejection of violence against women. Demonstrations took place in the cities of Sydney, Hobart, Adelaide, among others. Demonstrators demand strict laws from the government to stop the wave of violence against women unleashed since the beginning of 2024, which has left at least 26 women murdered. According to statistics collected by women's advocacy organizations, a woman dies every 4 days, mainly as a result of domestic violence. The Australian authorities accompanied the demonstrations and warned that it is time to change the culture and make the necessary adjustments to stop gender-based violence.
We're here today to demand that governments of all levels must do better, including my own, including every state and territory government. We're here as well to say that society and Australia must do better. We need to change the culture, we need to change attitudes. We need to change the legal system. We need to change the approach by all governments. Because it's not enough to support victims.
The Philippine Ministry of Education announced on Sunday the suspension of school attendance due to the heat wave that is affecting the country. The measure will be implemented on Monday and Tuesday. Thermic sensation due to rising temperatures has reached 45 Celsius degrees in major cities. According to the Philippine Meteorological Agency, the situation could last until mid-May due to the high humidity in the environment. Other places, such as Bangladesh, India, and Myanmar, are experiencing the same situation with temperatures above 42 and 45 Celsius degrees. Scientists stress that it is all a consequence of climate change and the few efforts to reverse it. In Nepal, at least 113 people are reported dead and another 67 injured as a consequence of floods and landslides caused by heavy rains in the country. According to local authorities, the disasters caused by intense rains have affected 67 of the 77 regions in the country, so soldiers and police officers have been ordered to deploy and jointly carry out rescue operations. Moreover, they warned that the water level in some rivers could rise to a dangerous level and called on the citizens to remain vigilant and take preventive measures. The central and southern parts of the Kathmandu tableland of Nepal are underwater, and there are fears of possible epidemic diseases due to the situation, which is also taking place in the middle of health service shortage. And we continue with the world of sports. In this case, in Spain, Barça will host Valencia at the Il Lluís Company's Olympic Stadium on Monday, April 29th, in their 33rd round of EA Sports League. Barcelona trained on the eve of their La Liga match against Valencia, with coach Xavi Hernandez saying that the club's goal is to finish second after Real Madrid extended the lead at the top of the table to 14 points with a win over Real Sociedad on Friday. The team has the desire to win tomorrow, he said, adding that he is excited to continue for another year.
The team has the desire to win tomorrow, the desire to finish the season well, to finish with a good feeling, and this is the main objective. I see the team doing very well. As for me, I am excited to continue for another year with all the enthusiasm and strength and energy in the world, and to prepare for the coming season too.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.